So when I came into Dubai this morning, well, not this morning, I guess last night or whatever, I saw a lot of this when I was flying in. And I couldn't be more than amazed by the fact that you just see these endless dunes of sands, and you wonder in this sort of landscape of, endlessness and harshness and nothingness, how anything can happen. And then you realize that within this sea of beauty, but a little bit of, existentialism, you find these kind of things. You see the vibrancy and the life that are in this sort of economy. And I think this is a little bit what the internet is like. The internet is this barren wasteland in which we have things like Sui, the Sui economy, which is trying to be the universal coordination layer for all digital assets. And that economy needs to be powered by something, right? Just like Burj Khalifa and the other buildings and the city and the infrastructure that's here is powered by other things. That's a little bit what Deepbook does. And I think Deepbook is a good analog to that, because what we expect to see is a Sui economy that is as vibrant as you would see here in downtown Dubai. And that power will come from places like Deepbook, which is Sui's liquidity venue. So let's talk a little bit about sort of where Sui's DeFi ecosystem is, where Deepbook is part of it. So we started on this journey about 2 years ago, launching Sui. We'd been working on it for many years before that. And we started growing together with a lot of the awesome builders that are here, Sui's DeFi ecosystem, which is ultimate goal is to be the on-chain trading and financial services ecosystem for all of the internet. And we've achieved remarkable things as an ecosystem. We have almost $2 billion of liquidity in Sui. It's actually been higher, but we know the latest market crash has lowered things for everyone, though Sui has been remarkably resilient. But more importantly, what it's done as financial infrastructure, enabling folks to trade assets on-chain, to do stuff on-chain without liquidity, is nothing short but remarkable. We have over $82 billion in all-time volume across the DeFi ecosystem. These are enormous numbers. If you look at sort of the type of assets that are starting to build on Sui, we're going from Sui's native asset, which is always where you start, to other types of volatile assets like meme coins, DeFi tokens, liquid staking tokens, of which there's a very vibrant ecosystem, to the next leg of very safe and secure assets like stable coins, which are primed for mass consumer audiences. Sui to date has about almost $900 million of stablecoin liquidity, the vast majority in US dollars, but we expect that to increase to tokens of other currencies and of other denominations. And within that ecosystem, we have over 50 very strong builders that are building the primitives that allow people to trade on Sui, to hold assets on Sui, to collateralize on Sui, to speculate on Sui, to hedge on Sui, to build financial instruments and financial products that are the analog to the real economy that's happening on Sui. And just as in the traditional economy, we have goods and services, we have people buying stuff at Walmart and on Amazon, and building factories and agriculture and all these kind of things, there is a financial layer that lets farmers get credit. There is a financial ecosystem that lets people at Walmart buy with a credit card and use payments. And all that financial ecosystem exists in order to make the real economy much more successful. And that's what we're trying to do with Sui. We are building, as an ecosystem, this big financial ecosystem so that Sui's real economy, which is populated by real use cases in gaming, in commerce, in social media, in other digital technologies, that they have that strong counterpart on the finance side to be successful, just as you would have in the real world. And as we start moving into that deeper decentralization and on-chain economy, Sui's DeFi and just more general financial ecosystem is going to grow as the Sui economy grows. As you've seen this morning, I think us as an ecosystem, we're very, very ambitious, both with Sui, with Seal, with Walrus, with Nautilus, and everything the DeFi and other types of builders are building. And when we see the future on-chain economy in Sui succeed, hopefully Sui and DeFi will. And part of that is Deepbook. Deepbook is a central part of Sui's DeFi and finance ecosystem because it is the wholesale liquidity layer where you can find the deepest depth, the tightest spreads in the biggest assets. And so just to give you a few numbers, Deepbook is a fully on-chain order book. It means that literally everything that Deepbook does happens on-chain. It's not a little bit happens on chain. It's not hybrid happens on chain. It means everything happens on chain, whether it's placing an order, routing an order, or matching an order. And Sui's power has enabled Deepbook to do, just in the last 30 days, 95 million transactions, okay? If you do the math and divide over 30 times 24 times 60 times 60, you will realize that that 95 million transactions in the last 30 days translates to an average of 36 transactions per second, driven just by Deepbook. Let that sink in. How many chains are there out there in crypto whose entire ecosystem have a lower TPS? And yet here we have one product, the wholesale liquidity of Sui, doing 36 TPS per second on a chain that is unfuzzled by that power and can handle that and much more. This is why we believe in Sui's future, and this is why Deepbook is so powerful and why other products building on Sui. So that power, the reason you have all those transactions is because Deepbook enables makers, the guys that are providing liquidity, to post orders and cancel those orders when the prices move with unparalleled speed. And to date, we've seen $8 billion in cumulative volume by Deepbook with average spreads of 8 basis points. Deepbook is as close as you can get to an on-chain trading experience while getting the guarantees of doing it on-chain, both on the programmability side, on the composability side, and on the security side. And again, just as Sui is the fastest chain out there with less than 400 milliseconds of finality, that's what Deepbook inherits. Now, this chart is very familiar to folks that are trading on Coinbase, on Binance, on Bybit, on all of these exchanges across the world. Except the difference is that this chart is powered by Deepbook. You can see the order book, you can see the trades, you can see the spreads, you can see the price action. This is literally what Deepbook looks like when you build a front end. And in the back, the experience you get is as similar as possible to a centralized exchange. So this is what this is our vision. We're trying to build the best order book on Sui in order to power this financial ecosystem. If you look at spreads, a lot of Deepbook's optimizations have come on the maker side. What does that matter? What does that mean? The market makers are the ones, the entities that are moving fast, that are providing liquidity there, so that when someone wants to trade at the market price, in depth, in size, that you can do it, and that you won't get rattled when the price moves in a different direction, because the market makers have beat you to it and make sure that the experience you get is better than what you get on a centralized exchange. A lot of the building and the engineering that is behind here is cutting edge. And I'm just the speaker today, but we have some of the engineers on Deepbook here. Aslan, are you in the room? There you go. I see Aslan and Tony. These are the guys. If you're building, if you are building in DeFi or just more generally on Sui, these are the guys to know, because these are the brains that are powering this. And this is the cutting edge experience that we hope will sort of make Sui the #1 player in on-chain finance. So these are the great features we get by building very strong infrastructure that parallels on top of Sui's very strong infrastructure to develop this strong product. Now with Deepbook, because it's a decentralized product, it comes together with a token. The reason we want a token is not just because we want deep token holders to make money, although hopefully they will. It is because we believe that the power of on-chain trading can only be unleashed if you have full decentralization. If you have a role of the token to align the incentives of the different participants, whether it's the market makers, it's the traders that are using that liquidity, or it's the holders that are deciding governance and just invested in the protocol's long-term future. And so Deepbook actually, if you go and you read the white paper, you will see that Deepbook has, the Deep token was built and designed in a way to have max utility. It gives traders the ability to pay lower fees when they trade enough, market makers to receive larger rebates, and it works in a way that is very, I would say, intelligent in the sense that it provides counter-cyclical incentives. When liquidity is low, the rebates are higher for the market makers. When liquidity is high, they're lower. And so this ensures that Deepbook has deep liquidity no matter where the market cycle and the economic cycle is at. Importantly, the Deep token can only be valuable not only because of its utility, but if traders and holders actually can use it to do stuff and the token is valuable. Well, the Deep token is an integral part of the DeFi ecosystem. There's over 75 million Deep in Sui DeFi used for different use cases such as collateralization, DEX trading, and other types of use cases that also make sure that both Deepbook and the Deep token can sort of build on the other parts of the DeFi ecosystem so that 2 + 2 is more than 4, and the sum of the parts are larger, sort of the whole is larger than the sum of the parts. Importantly, the Deep token itself is very, very liquid. A lot of it has been intermediated by Deepbook itself, but it's done over $8 billion of cumulative volume since it launched in November of last year. Importantly, Deepbook is always a moving and unfinished product. As Christian and Adni were saying this morning, we're only 1% of the way there. And I think we believe that with all the products that are part of the Sui ecosystem, because there's always an opportunity to be better to users, to provide a better experience, to build better technology. And so what, again, driven by the amazing engineering team behind Deepbook, the new upgrades behind Deepbook bring Deepbook into a new era. You will see things such as being able to permissionlessly create pools. That means that any creator, whether you're launching a meme coin, you're launching a protocol token, you're building in your token from a different ecosystem, you can launch your own book, and you can ensure that users have a similar trading experience to what they would have on a centralized exchange, but on Deepbook. You can also now have better user experience on the trading side by being able to trade with tokens that are not necessarily deep, but that are in some shape or form trading the Deep token in the back end. So it expands the audience that can use Deepbook by saying, hey, it doesn't matter if you have a stable coin, doesn't matter if you have Sui, use whatever token you want. You can start trading using that token, and you can still enjoy the same experience. Importantly, the fees have fallen, which is important because it ensures that Deepbook can have even better liquidity and tighter spreads. Now, going forward, this is just a starting point. As I said, we're always just 1% of the way there. What are we trying to do for the rest of this year, both the engineering team, us, and the broader DeFi ecosystem? We want to focus on Deepbook's strengths. Deepbook is the on-chain venue for major assets, for wholesale liquidity, for spot trading. There is one asset above all that is the most important in crypto, which is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is amazing because it is the one true asset in all of crypto that has deep product market fit. It is the blue chip asset. And I think that's recognized even beyond the confines of crypto and Web3. However, Bitcoin has one problem. Deepbook doesn't have problems. Bitcoin has one problem, which is it's not a programmable layer. And so when you have all this liquidity sitting idle and people want to do stuff with it, they're limited. And this is a problem that's recognized by a lot of folks, and a lot of folks are trying to figure out what to do with it. Well, one of Sui's broader mission is to try to bring this type of programmability and composability to Bitcoin, not just because Bitcoin is very valuable, but because it's a showcase of what Sui can do for digital assets in general. And Deepbook comes into this because Bitcoin is the blue chip digital asset in crypto. Sui has the frontier programmability in all of crypto, and Deepbook has its trading edge. If you put these three things together, this is the future of on-chain trading. A world in which you could go trade on Sui, powered by Deepbook, trading millions, hundreds of millions, and even billions of dollars in Bitcoin liquidity, as you would do in a centralized exchange, but without having the custody challenge, the lack of transparency that you have in a centralized exchange, and instead the security guarantees, the programmability, and the composability that you would have on Sui. That is the future of Deepbook. That's what we're trying to do. I'm happy to announce it today. Sui finally crossed the threshold of having more than $200 million of Bitcoin liquidity. This is just a starting point. Bravo, yes. We aim to have billions, if not tens of billion dollars on Sui soon, because we really want to make on this promise of showing how Sui is the programmable layer, the engine for digital assets. And we want to make a showcase with that with Bitcoin. And Deepbook is that trading venue. So that's it for today, folks. You've been deep-pilled. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.